In Quine's work, Two Dogmas of Empiricism, he attacks the sharp distinction between analytic truths and synthetic truths. Quine sees this bifurcation between the two truths as an unjustified presupposition or a dogma. Quine doesn't seek to destroy entirely this distinction, but instead to show they are much more linked than they are separate. An analytic truth is defined by statements that are true by virtue of what they mean, or their definition. For example, all bachelors are unmarried. A synthetic truth is defined by a factual statement about the world. For example, the cat is black. Quine takes issue with the use of analyticity as a tool for knowledge, as we can't justify the veracity of these truths without appealing to the category of analytical truths. Thus, the reasoning is circular. It is as if I were to say X is true because X says it is true. We need to understand also this distinction between extensional and intentional claims. Extensional claims are ones which point to an object. For example, the eyes on a horse refers to something extensional. It's an attribute of a physical object, or whatever. Intentional claims refer to concepts themselves, things such as beauty, hatred, love, etc. One thing may have both intentional and extensional sayings about it. For example, man is a loving being, intentional, man has two arms, extensional. One points to a more abstract truth, the others point to a more concrete truth. The word bachelor is synonymous with the phrase unmarried man. We thus define them synonymously. One may try and argue that we justify the veracity of analytic truths through the fact that they utilize synonymy. One may say, a bachelor is an unmarried man because what it means to be a bachelor is an unmarried man. However, this justification is circular and is appealing to what is in question. Synonymy itself is also assumed to be a true concept, but the issue is that synonymy already falls under the category of definitional truth, which is what is in question once again. If we are questioning definitional truth, we must in turn question synonymy, as definitional truths, or analytic truths, assume synonymy as a valid criterion for justification of definitional truths. In other words, analytic truths rely on synonymy to be analytic truths, which means we can't appeal to synonymy as a justification because it is what's in question, and it would be circular to do so. Synonymy also can't be said to be the thing which distinguishes between analytic and synthetic truths. This is because synonymy can just as much apply to synthetic truths or extensional truths as it can to analytic truths. For example, the phrase creature with a heart is also synonymous with the phrase creature with a kidney, since a creature with a heart requires a kidney to filter the blood pumped by the heart. However, unlike the phrase bachelor and unmarried man, which are true by concept, the creature with a heart and creature with a kidney known to be synonymous are true by fact or extension. We know creatures with kidneys have hearts because they work together. We know this through observation, not through definition. The next dogma Quine refers to is reductionism, the idea that a belief can stand on its own without presupposing any other belief. For example, let's take the synthetic statement, the door is at the fifth room. On an empirical basis, we can reduce things in the sentence such as door, fifth, and room. Yet the articles of the sentence on the empirical basis remain unexplained on their own. Yet to say they have no meaning is also wrong, as the sentence doesn't make sense without the use of the articles to specify what is meant. Even abstract truths aren't immune from assuming other beliefs, such as laws of logic or the reality of distinctions. For example, not A, as there exists a basic distinction between the identity and lack thereof. Take it even further in the case of empirical objects such as a green door. This here assumes we already have knowledge of the identity of what a door is as well as the color green. Quine is a epistemological holist, which means that he believes the way we know things and the methods we use can all aid one another, and we can't simply reduce our knowledge down to one methodology, and that all methodologies are open to revision, either by new information or new methodology, otherwise known as the Duham-Quine thesis, which I will quote a definition of. The Duham-Quine thesis, also called the Duham-Quine problem, states that it is impossible to test a scientific hypothesis in isolation because an empirical test of the hypothesis requires one or more background assumptions, also called auxiliary assumptions or auxiliary hypotheses. The hypothesis in question is by itself incapable of making predictions. Instead, the consequence of the hypothesis typically rests on background assumptions from which to derive predictions. This prevents a theory from being conclusively falsified through empirical means if the background assumptions are not proven, since background assumptions sometimes involve one or more scientific theories, and scientific theories are never strictly proven. For instance, to disprove the idea that the Earth was moving, some people noted that birds did not get thrown off into the sky whenever they let go of a tree branch. The datum is no longer accepted as empirical evidence that the Earth is not moving because we have adopted a different background system of physics that allow us to make different predictions.